This is CBN NewsWatch.
It is Friday, March 26th. I'm Ephraim Graham. Ahead today, no clear path to a stable government. We're breaking down the latest from the Israeli elections. Deadly tornadoes wreaking havoc on Alabama. Our experts are telling us if we can expect the same destruction somewhere else today. A day of reckoning for the leaders of big tech, their response as they face off with lawmakers. March heading for a close. Why the madness on the court isn't over just yet. All those stories and more are ahead in today's edition of CBN NewsWatch. Want to begin with this. The final votes have been counted, and once again, Israel does not have a clear path to a stable government. But as Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem, the parties committed to topple Prime Minister Netanyahu are still trying to oust Israel's longest-running prime minister in history.
The results of Israel's fourth election within 2 years look like the last three, with no clear winner. The parties aligned with Prime Minister Netanyahu total 52 seats. The parties committed against Netanyahu total 57 seats. Two parties are uncommitted. The right-wing party Yamina holds 7 seats. Ra'am, or the United Arab List, an Islamist party, has 4 seats. With those 4 seats, Ra'am may hold the key to who gets the 61 seats needed to form a coalition. Its leader, Mansour Abbas, wants any government in power to provide more support to Israeli Arabs. Making the path toward forming a new government even more complicated, some parties refuse to sit in a coalition with other parties. Once again, it puts Israel's politics in disarray.
Israel is experiencing its worst political crisis in decades. It's apparent that our political system finds it very difficult to produce a decisive outcome. This is as a result of inherent weaknesses in our electoral system, but it's also because of the Netanyahu factor. A very popular prime minister that wants to remain in power, although he was indicted, and Israelis are split right down the middle on this question.
Now parties are scrambling for support and defectors from other parties. Israel will begin the celebration of the Passover on Saturday evening. Some say Israel will need another miracle to deliver it from its political plight.
And Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell joins us now to discuss the elections just a bit further. So, Chris, you mentioned in your report some parties refuse to sit with other parties. Who are they?
Well, first of all, there's the Ra'am party we mentioned in the report. They're a chapter of the Muslim Brotherhood. They're nationalistic. They want a Palestinian state to replace a Jewish state. I talked to one person from one of the camps this morning. He said it's kind of crazy to have actually somebody in the Knesset that wants to eliminate the Jewish state. It's why some parties won't sit with Ra'am. Say the religious Zionist party, they won't sit with Ra'am. Then you have the Gideon Sa'ar, his New Hope. He won't sit with the Joint List. That's some of the other Arab parties. The Joint Arab List won't sit with some of the extreme right parties. Yamina won't sit with Meretz, and go on and on. Meretz is a far-left party. And you have 13 parties right now in the Knesset, and that's why this makes this post-election so complicated. Some would refer to it like a political Rubik's Cube.
Indeed it is. So let's turn now to the anti-Netanyahu parties that are trying to oust him. What are the ways they're doing this?
Well, one way that they've talked about is actually that they would try to get 61 seats on a temporary basis. They would go into the Knesset, pass a law, and actually pass a law that anybody that's indicted cannot serve as prime minister, and that would be directly against Prime Minister Netanyahu. So right now, Netanyahu, he's looking for ways to survive. He is a survivor, and he's trying to convince the extreme right parties, this religious Zionist parties, to actually sit with this Muslim Brotherhood party, Ra'am. And he's also trying to get defectors from the right parties that are against him. If they can get 1 or 2 away from some of these parties, he can probably become prime minister. Ephraim, right now, there's actually 4 possibilities for prime minister. You have Netanyahu, you have Naftali Bennett, Benny Gantz, Yair Lapid. All could be prime minister right now. And there's even a possibility they would try to form a 1-year government and pass a budget, because right now Israel's the only Western country that doesn't have a 2020 budget. They don't have a 2021 budget, and 2022 is coming up. So that's why they want to try to get maybe just a temporary Knesset.
So the path forward for Netanyahu, is he likely to form a coalition?
Well, it's very doubtful right now. It looks very, very hard. You know, he's going to try to get those defectors over, but it remains to be seen if he can do that. What kind of coalition can be formed right now? The other thing that's going on right now, Ephraim, is right now the party's going to be meeting with the president, and they're going to recommend who's going to be the next prime minister. That will likely happen after Passover. Passover starts Saturday evening, so for about a week, things will probably be on hold right now. And Shabbat is coming up later today. Passover on Saturday. Some are turning off their phones and they're praying.
We just about out of time, but I have to ask this. What's the likelihood of a fifth election?
It could happen. It could happen. I've talked to some Israelis yesterday and today, and that's what they're planning on right now, that there's just so complicated, they don't see any way that it's going to be a likelihood of a coalition government. So they may have a fifth election later this year.
Chris Mitchell reporting from Jerusalem for us today. I want to remind you can get more on the election and all that's going on in Jerusalem from our Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and his team on the CBN News Channel, watching Jerusalem Dateline. It begins at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. A string of deadly tornadoes killed at least 5 people in Alabama. The same storm caused extensive damage in Georgia last night, southwest of Atlanta. Meteorologist Adam Del Rosso from AccuWeather has a look at where this system is going next.
Many across the South picking up the pieces after those deadly and destructive storms rolled through Thursday afternoon and even into the overnight hours. Hail the size of baseballs reported across Mississippi. Alabama taking the brunt of the tornado action. Unfortunately, we did have one confirmed tornado kill 5 in Ohatchee, Alabama, which is in Calhoun County, just to the north and east of Birmingham. So these storms meant serious business, and we still have tens of thousands of customers without power across Alabama and Georgia because of some of the tornado damage as well as the straight line wind damage that we had move on through. Fortunately, as we head through our Friday, the severe threat a lot lower. We still will have some spotty showers and storms along this cold front, which you can tell isn't going to move much. It kind of stalls out across southern Alabama, central Georgia, and into the Carolinas. But along that front, again, the severe weather threat a lot lower. Only a marginal risk here, which is level 1 out of 5 from the Storm Prediction Center from the Carolinas into South Georgia. Also notice into parts of the Northeast, we've got that marginal threat for some wind damage possible with some of the storms that we see into upstate New York and into New England. Otherwise, behind that boundary, a quieter day for us in Atlanta. We'll have some sunshine, highs in the mid to upper 70s, closer to 80 in Jackson with a mix of sun and clouds. So where we had a lot of those storms yesterday, we will have the opportunity to clean up. But as we get into the weekend with that stalled boundary remaining across the southeast, we will need to watch out for additional spotty showers and storms from New Orleans to Jackson, Atlanta. We've all got the storms in our forecast. High temperatures up into the 80s. And as we head later into our Saturday and into our early Sunday morning, the threat for severe weather does return. Tornadoes, damaging wind gusts, hail, a possibility from northern Louisiana up into the Tennessee Valley. Round after round, it seems like we won't get a break here across parts of the South.
All right, Adam, thank you so much. President Joe Biden is doubling his vaccination goal for his first 100 days in office. He now wants to achieve 200 million shots by April 29th. That comes as at least 20 states are seeing COVID cases spiking by at least 10%. So far, more than 85 million U.S. adults have received at least one dosage of the vaccine. That's about 33% of the population. Health experts say herd immunity will not happen until about 80% of the population is vaccinated. Big tech CEOs were given a tongue lashing on Capitol Hill yesterday over their roles in spreading disinformation and censoring conservative news. The men took fire from both sides of the aisle. Jennifer Wishon has more.
It was a day of reckoning for the CEOs of Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, called to testify before the House Energy and Commerce Committee.
We have to decide how we want to handle speech that is legal but harmful, and who should be responsible for what people say.
Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have had it for different reasons. Democrats blame social media giants for disseminating voter fraud claims that led to the deadly attack on the Capitol.
Facebook has family and friends neighborhood, but it is right next to the one where there is a white nationalist rally every day. YouTube is a place where people share quirky videos. But down the street, anti-vaxxers, COVID deniers, QAnon supporters, and flat earthers are sharing videos.
Republicans have had it with the censoring of conservative views.
We're all aware of big tech's ever-increasing censorship of conservative voices and their commitment to serve the radical progressive agenda by influencing a generation of children and removing, shutting down, or canceling any news, books, and even now toys that aren't considered woke. This is fundamentally un-American.
In a recent interview with a New York Times columnist, even Senator Bernie Sanders expressed concerns over President Trump being banned from Twitter. This is a bad news guy, he said. But if you're asking me, do I feel particularly comfortable that the then President of the United States could not express his views on Twitter? I do not feel comfortable about that. The CEOs addressed the struggle to find balance.
We believe in free expression. We believe in free debate and conversation to find the truth. At the same time, we must balance that with our desire for our service not to be used to sow confusion, division, or destruction.
I don't think anyone wants a world where you can only say things that private companies judge to be true.
Currently, a 25-year-old telecommunications law shields internet companies from liability for what users post.
Your business model itself has become the problem, and the time for self-regulation is over. It's time we legislate to hold you accountable. That's what we're going to do.
Still, this isn't the first time big tech CEOs have been called to the Capitol for a scolding. So the big question is, will lawmakers actually take action to rein in their power? Jennifer Wishon, CBN News.
People both inside and outside of the Pentagon worry extremism is on the rise in the military. The concern is so real, lawmakers held a hearing about it on Capitol Hill. CBN's Paul Strand listened in.
During this House Armed Services hearing, a representative of the Southern Poverty Law Center rang some alarm bells about extremism in the military.
We have the report or survey results from the Military Times last year that reported over 50% of service members of color say that they witness racist or white supremacist behavior within the ranks.
Racism continues to occur within the ranks, and we must work to root out this bigotry and deal with that problem in a comprehensive manner.
It was pointed out some 20% of those arrested for the January 6th takeover of the Capitol building were present or former military members. And the SPLC's Brooks added,
over the last several years, SPLC researchers and journalists have identified dozens of former and active military personnel among the membership of some of the country's most dangerous and violent white supremacist groups.
But First Liberty Institute's Michael Berry warned the military could be in danger of lumping in good people of faith with radical extremists.
I'm pulling directly from Department of Defense publications here, labeling evangelical Christians and Catholics in the same category that they categorize Hamas, Al-Qaeda, and the Ku Klux Klan.
Berry told CBN News it's suspected a teeny tiny fraction of troops are dangerous radicals, and purges can easily get out of hand.
While it's important to remove true extremists from our military, we have to be very cautious not to infringe upon the constitutional rights of the other 99.9%.
We lack any concrete evidence that violent extremism is as rife in the military as some commentators claim. Since the start of FY20, 9 soldiers have been separated from the Army for misconduct where extremism was a factor. 9 out of nearly 1 million.
Chairman Smith said that was one of the main reasons to have this hearing, to find out if there really is a problem, and if so, just how big it is. Paul Strand, CBN News, Washington.
The University of Southern California has agreed to pay hundreds of millions in a settlement with more than 700 women. The university will pay $852 million to women who have accused the college's longtime campus gynecologist of sexual abuse. This is believed to be a record amount for such a lawsuit. When combined with an earlier settlement of a separate class action suit, USC has agreed to pay out more than $1 billion for claims against Dr. George Tyndall. Tyndall faces 35 criminal counts of alleged sexual misconduct between 2009 and 2016 at the University Student Health Center. He has pleaded not guilty and is right now free on bond. Coming up, how a Catholic charity is stepping up to help families who have taken in immigrant children. We've got the story for you, and CBN NewsWatch continues.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep as the world watches from the outside.
It's a big diplomatic tug of war here in the Middle East.
Go inside the story with Jerusalem Dateline.
Israeli archaeologists are talking about a discovery that could change the thinking about the Temple Mount.
Join CBN Jerusalem Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell and get the biblical perspective on the events shaping the world.
What starts in Israel then ends up going to other places.
Watch Jerusalem Dateline Friday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
Welcome back to CBN News Watch. I want to turn now to the U.S.-Mexico border. Among the migrants coming across the border are many young children traveling with their parents. Now, families with children under the age of 6 are not sent back to Mexico. Instead, they're allowed to stay until their legal proceedings play out. Many of these families need a lot of help once they arrive, and one Texas Catholic charity is actually stepping up to the job. CBN Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson has more.
The journey to the U.S. is difficult for any migrant hoping to come into the country, but it's especially hard for those under the age of 6. Our CBN News team on the border saw that firsthand. Many of the families are in crisis when they reach the U.S.
Children, that's what concerns me, is the kids, the babies. They need milk, they need things, and so being able to provide them enough water, enough food, enough things that a mom will need.
CBN News senior Washington correspondent Tara Mergener is on the southern border and spoke to Sister Norma Pimentel of Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley.
We take them from the Border Patrol so we can make sure they're safe, because they're moms and children and families that are exposed to great dangers and traffickers and others that want to take advantage of them.
Families who pass their COVID tests come in for respite until they figure out where they're going, while those who don't recover in a local hotel that allows COVID cases.
They will get a chance to eat, to take a shower, change clothing, to get what a family needs that has been traveling for a while.
Despite reports of record numbers of people crossing the border, Pimentel tells CBN News they've seen higher numbers before.
Yesterday was 600, the day before 7 something, but we haven't reached those high numbers that we did in 2019 in the previous administration. And so now I'm certain that if things go as they are moving forward, they more than likely will see those numbers again later in the year.
Pimentel hopes the Biden administration addresses why migrants are fleeing their homes to begin with.
It is our responsibility to, whether laws, policies, responses, whatever we do, we don't lose sight of their humanity, because then we lose our humanity in the process.
And she encourages Americans not to be afraid of those coming into the country.
We as people of the church are here to show that we're in solidarity with them. We're here to be present with them, to accompany them in their struggles, in their pain, and in their successes.
A group of Republican senators plans to go to the border this weekend, and they are criticizing the president for not doing so as well. But President Biden says he does not want to overwhelm federal officials who are trying to control the situation with a presidential visit. Reporting from Virginia, Abigail Robertson, CBN News.
And still ahead, our sports director Sean Brown shares his take on March Madness and why a Massachusetts coach is out of a job. We've got the story for you. Stay with us.
On October 1st, 1961, history was made when a tiny station began transmitting the first signals of the Christian Broadcasting Network.
CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network.
And now, a new era has begun with the all-new CBN News Channel.
Just moments ago, the Iron Dome intercepted an incoming rocket right on the Gaza border.
Administering in this area, spiritual warfare is definitely involved.
A 24/7 news network, bringing you the news you want from a source you can trust.
In Kenya, 40% of the medical services are actually provided by these Christian hospitals.
Let's talk about the economy.
Believers here are joining together to win people to Jesus Christ.
All your favorite shows now in one place. Go to CBNNewsChannel.com to find out how to get the CBN News Channel on your TV all day, every day. CBN News. Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Life. It's meant to be lived fully. Jesus said it. I came to give you life. Life to the fullest. Life in your family. Life in your finances. Life in your body, mind, and spirit. Life in your everyday. At CBN.com, we're taking what Jesus said seriously. We're here to help you discover life. Life. Live it fully. CBN.com.
So much going on in the world of sports this week. March Madness in full swing with some major upsets and a Massachusetts high school football coach fired after reports his team used anti-Semitic language. Joining us now with more is CBN Sports Director Sean Brown. So let's begin with the background of this coach. Why did the school take such action? Sean, can you hear me?
Brother, what's up?
Oh, hi there. Why did the school take this action against this coach?
Well, because they had to. I mean, the community is calling for, some type of action, and they have already severed ties with this coach, and they needed to. When you use those type of slurs, including Auschwitz, I mean, what does a concentration camp that murdered over 1 million Jewish people have to do with play calling? I can't wrap my head around that. So they needed, he or she was an apology, insensitive, crash, and careless, but it came from somewhere. And so, they needed to go ahead and sever ties with that coach.
All right, let's turn to March Madness, the end of the month approaching, of course, which means the end of March Madness. Are there any favorites in the running for you?
You know what? I've got Michigan at the top of my bracket. Winning everything, but I do have my eye on number 15, Oral Roberts, and of course, Loyola Chicago. So we'll have to see. But it's basketball, man. The madness continues.
So exactly many surprises. What surprised you the most this season?
You know what surprises me the most is really in all of these teams, the fact that they were able to rally when you consider the circumstances in the season with COVID. So that's the first thing. The second thing, you have a 15 seed still still playing. Oral Roberts is still playing. They've got Arkansas tomorrow, a number 3 seed, and they're still going strong. And that's what I love about basketball. It's all about who shows up, who plays together, who shoots well on that given day. And that's why I love it.
Real quick, what did Oral Roberts do right that got them there?
You know what, man? They're a faith-based school. I'm always going to go back to the faith-based element, but there are many schools that have a faith-based element, but it's all about showing up, believing that they can play together. It's all about making sure staying focused, not worried about what seed you're at. It's all about showing up on that given day, and they've been able to do that. They've been able to work together, move the ball around, everybody gets a piece, and just really working together and shooting well. And that's what it comes down to: staying focused, making sure you can shoot, and shoot well. And so I got my eye on them. They definitely have a chance. I wouldn't be surprised if they took out Arkansas, honestly.
All right. Thank you so much, Sean. Always appreciate it.
You got it.
Coming up, how a piece of fabric from the past is pointing to modern ingenuity. Stay with us.
Life is better with a good night's sleep. Get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
Welcome to Studio 5 Uncut. This is our opportunity to share extended conversations with some of the great guests we've had on Studio 5.
You can't go anywhere on the planet and not see the impact of gospel music on popular culture.
Now you're a comedian and a Christian. You know, why is that such a baffle?
Being an artist who is Christian and an artist who is in hip-hop culture, I'm trying to find my own sound.
Studio 5 Uncut. Next.
Remember for a moment what it was like to be a child. You believed every story you were told. You saw a world full of endless possibilities. What stories will the world's orphaned and at-risk children believe? We believe the Bible tells the only story truly worth believing. We believe that every child should have the opportunity to dream, the chance to take challenges and turn them into possibilities, the chance to stand on the promises of God, to recognize their place in the greatest story ever told. They have their whole lives ahead of them. Theirs is a world of endless possibilities. They are looking for a story to believe. We will tell them that story. Will you join us?
NASA's Ingenuity helicopter landed on Mars with a piece of fabric from the Wright brothers aircraft tucked under its solar panel. The life of the fabric extends all the way back to 1903 when Orville and Wilbur Wright took the first air flight in history. Now the fabric represents modern ingenuity behind NASA's most recent mission. The 4-pound helicopter is an experiment that could open doors for new forms of space exploration. Time now for your Friday Faithful, and today I leave you with this reminder pulled from a new and timely song from pastor and recording artist Travis Green. The song is called Easter, and one line of the lyrics read like this: "What I could not pay, he handled for me. He took the bill, and the receipt is signed in blood." That's love. It's also good news for us all. That is going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you right back here, same time Monday. God bless you.